screen. Uh, Let me get it, and let me know if you guys can see my screen, and we can go from there. Okay,
Yes, Rahul. Yeah.
you can see my screen, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about cloud computing today. I guess you guys are also studying. Some of you might be studying this in your current semester. So I'm just gonna give you an overview. Maybe think of if you already know all this stuff, great. If you don't, think of this as a building block which you might use in the future. I'll also do a quick demo of how you can deploy a web app on one of the cloud computing providers. Uh, and we'll also have some time for questions, and these questions can be anything. It can be related to cloud computing, computer science in general, or anything out the box. So let me know. We can do the questions at the end. Uh, okay, let's start. Uh, Quick introductions. My name is Rahul. Pass out from 2009, 2013 batch. That was my roll number when I was studying there. Uh, I've worked in a couple of companies after passing out. Currently, I'm working at Singapore Airlines as a principal technologist in the data engineering and data science team. Before this, I was in a startup called Ewise, and before that, I was in Eros and Yodlee. Both of these two companies are in Bangalore. Uh, Next up, I was born in Jammu. I grew up in Delhi, and Delhi is the place which I call my home. Uh, I currently stay here in sunny Singapore. I've been here for the last 6 years. It's really a nice place to live. Uh, and this is what today's agenda is. We'll start with some introductions. We'll cover a couple of types of cloud services. We'll go over cloud economics, common applications. Then we'll talk about one of the cloud providers, which is Amazon Web Services. And then we'll have a demo. And after the demo, we can have a question and answer time. Right. So as you all know, this is basically our entire world now. So we have Facebook around us, Google around us, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, SoundCloud, all kinds of stuff. And all these companies, actually, what they do is they generate a lot of data. And these are some of the info. This is some of the facts and figures and an infographic around the amount of data these companies generate. Basically, Gmail is processing millions and millions of emails per second. Facebook, Google, and companies like Netflix are processing petabytes of data every single day. How is this all possible? All this is called big data, which is basically large pools of data that can be captured, communicated, aggregated, stored, and analyzed. The data, as more and more application come, as more and more people do online shopping, or more and more people come onto Facebook, Google, this data will only continue to grow, and they will basically grow at a staggering pace. Applications are slowly becoming more and more data intensive. So what do we do with this data? So we basically store them, we access them, we might encrypt them, share them with our friends, families, or we might do some processing on that. We basically want to do all this processing very seamlessly. So let's try to understand how do we manage this data. So what I'm trying to do is basically trying to give you a segue into understanding why cloud computing came about and what is cloud computing. So let's see, how do we manage our data? Do you want to manage it yourself? Maybe, sure, yes, but it might be time consuming. How do you get access to this data wherever you are? Do you want to keep it on your device, or do you want someone else to manage it for you? What if it is like managed by someone else? Can you like get this as a service or a subscription? And has these like things happened before, like innovation to product to a service? Think about like this. How did we start getting water? In earlier times, people used to get water in buckets and from the wells in the villages. But slowly you started getting water tankers around your colony or around your city. And now these days you actually get a piped water supply and you just get a water bill automatically. So this is an example of how product became a service eventually. Let's look at another example. Electricity. Earlier, electricity was invented and it was a disruptive technology at that time. And then people starting producing electricity using generators. But now we have an electricity service which comes up by a grid and we actually pay for what we use. Similarly, banking. No banks. We went to traditional banking. Now we have checks and credit cards. And now we have an internet banking service. So what is basically cloud computing? What is it? This is a nice comic which basically might tell you what cloud computing is. Is it using your computer on your airplane? Let's see. So let's use the same analogy to basically define what cloud computing is. Basically, cloud computing is the transformation of IT from a product to service. So anything related to technology, when it transforms from product to a service, is, I would say, cloud computing. This is like a very layman definition of cloud computing. Another joke, if you like jokes. So it says cloud computing is a cool technology, but every time it rains, I lose my data. So again, applying the same analogy on this. Earlier, you used to have computers. Then you used to maintain your own computers in your server room. Now, what cloud computing does is basically somebody else is managing your servers for you, and you basically only pay for what you use. So a cloud is nothing but a data center. A data center, think of hundreds of thousands of server room where all the computers are stacked one on the other. They have good cooling, heating systems. So data center basically has hardware and software that vendors would able to use these resources and services. And everything, all the data we generate, right? Data from our cameras, data from our watches, iPhones, smart fridges, all this data is actually going into these data centers to what we call cloud. So how do we actually transform IT as a service? So these are the features we need from a proper cloud computing service. So it has to have great connectivity. It has to have great interactivity. It should be very reliable, that it should never go down. You don't see Facebook going down, right? You don't see Google going down. Performance should be great. You don't want to like pay a lot of money. You just want to pay for how much you use. Uh, it should be easy to use. It should be very scalable. Let's say you need 100 servers tomorrow to do a big task. You should be easily be able to request that and get rapid response to your needs. So these underlying technologies, right, were solved using these computer science concepts, which are some of them are like distributed systems, utility computing, virtualization, programming. And this is what actually came together and built what is today called cloud computing. So let's see what are the different types of cloud services available. So I like to say like cloud computing is of three types. One is called software as a service, or commonly called a SaaS. One is platform as a service, PaaS, and infrastructure as a service, call it IaaS. So let's try to understand what each of these are. So software as a service is basically any kind of software or functionalities that is typically delivered over web browsers. So things like Gmail or Microsoft Office 365 or Dropbox or Salesforce, these applications are typically SaaS applications that you're basically subscribing to this service through a web browser. Platform as a service, on the other hand, is something that you can use to deploy your applications. So basically, they manage the entire platform, which is like the operating system, the database, the auto scaling, the scaling, or the underlying infrastructure for you. So if you have heard of things like Heroku, Cloud Foundry, App Engine, this is what is called a PaaS. And final one, and I guess the most important one, and the type of cloud computing I would try to focus on today is infrastructure as a service. Very important. And some of the examples you probably know is Amazon Web Services, Windows Azure, Google Cloud Platform. These are basically services from three big companies, Amazon, Microsoft, and Google. So what they're doing is basically they're renting you computers and servers to come and deploy your things, deploy your applications, do data processing, things like that. Right. So summarizing, cloud computing is the delivery of hosting services that are provided to a client over the internet. It basically enables large-scale services without upfront investment. And let's try to understand the benefits of cloud computing. So usually all the cloud computing things have pay-as-you-go model. So what it means, you'll only pay what you used and only pay when you use. So you don't have to like put in some upfront investment of going and buying servers or computers, things like that. You just basically request through your web browser, and you only pay for what you requested. It really simplifies your IT management, so you don't have to like go to a computer store and buy a server. You don't have to buy hard disks. You don't have to buy RAM. It all comes to you easily. So another very important thing, which I think is, I think the biggest advantage of cloud computing is elasticity, which means, let's say, if you need hundreds of computers at once or hundreds of servers at once, cloud will be able to give you, but you might not be able to procure those resources quickly in real life. Again, it gives you customization, and the carbon footprint is also decreased. I'll try to basically touch more upon the cloud economics for we as a users. What is the benefit for us as users? So as I mentioned just in the last slide, one important thing is pay as you go. So most of the cloud services basically charge per minute. Nowadays they even charge per second. So if you like using it for 2 seconds, it will be charged for 2 seconds only, and you don't have any sign up fees, or you don't have any other basically upfront fees or annual subscriptions, things like that. So what it helps is basically, let's say, if you have, let's say, a project, let's say you have your final year project for which you have to do some data processing, but that project won't be like, you won't use it after you graduate, right? So rather than you going purchasing some servers from the market that you have to keep it yourself, you just rent your server from one of these companies and you just pay for, let's say, that 1 or 2 weeks. So this basically helps you to like not do a big investment. Another thing is elasticity. So let's say you have some project, or you have some job that would basically take, if you're running that job on your computer or your laptop, it will take thousands of hours, 1,000 hours. So you would have to wait 1,000 hours, and the price is same. But what if the cloud computing environment gives you thousands of computers for 1 hour for the same price? You'll have your job done all in 1 hour, right? You don't have to wait for 1,000 hours. So same price would get you a result faster. So this is like one of the biggest advantages of cloud computing. Let's look at the economics from the viewpoint of the providers, which is like companies like Microsoft, Amazon, Google. For them, they are able to provide such services very cheap because they're able to leverage the economies of scale. So they are able to purchase like millions of computers, millions of hard disks all together, and they get a discount. Because they have such operation, they also get like discount for electricity, running water bills, things like that. So they also give, so technically they pass these discounts to the consumers, which are us. Instead of me buying one computer, I won't get discount, but these companies get a lot of discount. So it's because they have a lot of economy of scale, so the cost is much lower to the customers. Other interesting things are basically there are like things like spot markets, reserved instances, ability to quickly try new hardware. Uh, so first two are more related to pricing, wherein, let's say, if you do some kind of commitment with these companies like Microsoft, Amazon, and Google, who provide these cloud computing, they will even give you more discounts. So let's say you sign up, you tell them, okay, I'm going to spend $1,000 with you for a year, so they'll give you 40% discount. uh, and the third point is ability to quickly try exotic hardware. What that means is basically, let's say you want to try some new graphics card, or you want to try some new processor which is very fast for some of your project. You won't, maybe you don't get it. Maybe it's very expensive outside if you purchase it, but it's very cheap on the cloud computing services. Right. Uh, let's look at some of the common applications. So it's basically used everywhere these days. All the web apps, mobile apps are actually running on cloud. Facebook, Google, Netflix, you say it, uh, everything is running on cloud. Used everywhere in data analytics, medical research also. So even the COVID vaccines that are being built, they're doing all kinds of simulations, very heavy, intensive data crunching work. It all happens on the cloud. Uh, okay, let's move to one of the clouds, infrastructure as a service, called Amazon Web Services, commonly called AWS. Uh, and let's see what it has to offer. So I'll give you a quick intro about AWS. It started in 2006. It today powers hundreds of thousands of business in 200 over countries around the world. Uh, Early services were S3, EC2. So think of S3 as some kind of store. It is a storage service. EC2 is basically your servers on demand. Uh, it's a very, very profitable business for Amazon. It's like the most profitable business of Amazon. Its revenues are about 400 billion US dollars. And most of the profits of Amazon come from AWS itself. And this is basically the global infrastructure of AWS. So you can see they have data centers everywhere around the world, in US, India, Singapore, Australia, name it. You have a continent, they have a data center there. And these are the places from where they serve their cloud computing technology to end users like us. Some of the services that AWS has is compute, databases, AR, VR, analytics, gaming, storage, etc., etc. They're like, I think every year they're launching hundreds of services. The list is only like growing every day. Every day there's some or the other new service. Right. So, I mean, I've reached the end of my presentation, and I can do a demo now, or we could actually do questions. If you have any questions now regarding the slides, I'm happy to answer those questions uh, about the cloud computing.
Yeah, Rahul, almost all are like from 6M students. I think they already like have a quite idea of cloud computing. So like it was like too good, like very simple with good examples. Okay, you explained, so like we can proceed with demo.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'm gonna do in this demo is we're gonna deploy a web app in a server that can be accessed by everyone. So I've hang on, where is this? Let me bring up this. Where is this? So I've written a simple web app which basically is like think of it as like a hello world, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna log into AWS and we're gonna start a server and try to deploy this. Okay. You can still see my browser, right?
Yes, yes,
Right. So this is basically let me. So this is I hope I I think a lot of you might have seen this console if you have been using AWS. So this is how the AWS homepage looks like. It has like a bunch of services which are like compute, EC2, storage, databases, things like that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start a server, and server is basically EC2. It says virtual servers in the cloud. Uh, so as you can see right now, there's no server running. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start a new server. So let's click on launch instance. So what I'm gonna do, because I'm gonna deploy a web application, so I'm gonna start a web server. So one of the popular web servers out there is called Nginx. And Nginx, and let's choose this. So this is the Nginx web server. So as you can see, so this basically tells you what is the price of the server. So it's like $0.07, $0.007 per hour. So as you can see, it's pretty cheap. So yeah, I mean, depending on the configuration, right? So this one, T2, let's say T2 Micro is, I think, 4 GB RAM uh, server. Similarly, you can go up to like things like 24 XLarge, which has like 250 GB RAM or something. And that costs you about $4 per hour. So let's select this. So what I'm going to select is T2 Micro. It has, oh, sorry, T2 Micro has 1 GB of RAM and 1 CPU. So it says free tier eligible. So actually it won't cost me anything, even if I like start this and keep this running for 1 year, it won't cost me anything. So let's configure the instance details. So, I mean, if you have not played around with this, so this is basically some networking settings wherein where the would the server be public or would the server be private? Number of servers you need. So I'll just select one. I'll select public IP because I want everyone to actually play with it. So I won't even bother with the rest of the settings. So let's go and add some storage. So it says how much hard disk do I want. So since my web application is pretty small, I think 10 GB would be fine for me. Now let's configure security groups. So security groups is, as you know, all of the communication on the web happens on ports. So the internet is hosted on, if it is a secure website, it's hosted on 443, which is the port for HTTPS protocol. And similarly, 80 for HTTP. So I'll just review and launch. So this is basically a review of all the settings I selected. And let's click launch. And now it's asking me to like select a key pair, which is basically some way of authenticating with this machine. It's password, username. So it's basically a key pair. Okay, I have this key pair, and I'll just click launch. Right, so it says your instance is launching. So what happened that I just requested a new server and it's already up and launching. Let's see, it's in pending state. Within a few seconds, it will be like started already. So it says now running. So that means if I try to, which is go to the public DNS of this, I should see something, right? So this is the public DNS of this. I can let's quickly. I think it's still loading. So the server has launched, but the software inside probably is still loading up. Okay, the status check still says initializing. Okay, let's try this again. Okay. Right. So now, as you can see, my server is now ready and it's showing me default page of this web server, which basically comes with the default installation of this web server. So I can paste this link in the chat here. So I assume you guys will also be able to get this. Uh, so what we're gonna do is gonna deploy our web service or web app to this server that we actually just deployed. So where is it? Hang on. Okay. So this is a sample project. Think of it as like a sample hello world project that I've written. So basically this is a React app. Uh, and this is what I'm going to deploy in this thing. So for this, what I need is I need the public DNS of this. What is this? Change this IP address. Right. Okay. And let's go here. Let me bring this here. So what I'm going to do is first, maybe I'm going to show you how it looks in my computer right now. So let's start it locally first. Right. So this is basically what we're going to deploy. It's running on my local host, which is like on my computer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to deploy this quickly to this web server. So when you visit the link that I've shared, you'll also be able to see this page. Right. So I have this deploy script already with me. Right. So what happened is I just copied all these files in this web server. So if I now go and refresh this page, see, now this page has changed. Now it says hello from AWS. We just deploy this on EC2. And what if, let's say, I have to change something? Where is this configurations. So let's say, hang on. I change something. Let's say I do this, and will this npm start. So right now, if you visit that link, right, you'll see this page. And let's say I'm removing the image from the background and deploy this. So I'll build this project again. And how we build is npm run build, I think. Building is another word for compiling. So it's built. Well, what I'll do is run this deploy script again. And let's go to our URL here. As you can see, that image is gone. So this is how quickly we can actually leverage the cloud to make websites or make applications. And this is the reason like why there are so many startups building new services each and every day, because they're getting this flexibility from the cloud so quickly. And that's the end of my demo. So that's how you basically launch a new instance, assign it some public address, and deploy your application to it. I think you guys also can do this. Let me know if anybody did actually visit the link and is able to see this website. Otherwise, I will never know if there was something wrong with the web, demo itself. Happy to take questions.
Yeah, we are getting that, Rahul. Like, students, any doubts you have, you can do ask. Like anything related to your cloud. And Rahul, like, still we have like actually we're working on your data science. Like, we'd be happy like in coming days, like we have some session on data science and everything.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, students, any doubt? I think you are tried with that clicking that particular link. You can see you get a message hello from AWS. Okay, and that was so simple. Like Rahul explained, like how exactly to deploy your web applications on your cloud, and just it was very clear explanation related to your cloud. And thanks, Rahul. It was really an eye-opening session for the students who are interested in building their career in cloud. And I wholeheartedly thanks for accepting our invitation and briefing our students on various aspects of cloud computing, and also showing a demo and how to deploy a web application on AWS. It was wonderful session, Rahul, and I really know like the time you taken and the knowledge what you shared with our students.
No problem, sir. Always a pleasure. But uh, yeah, I mean, let me know. I can do another session for data science or data analytics in general.
Yeah. Okay.
Only on one condition. If people speak up, I really want people to speak up.
Yeah.
It's a very very important skill in this industry. If you
Yes,
don't
obviously.
ask questions now, it's going to be hard. Just ask questions. It's very important attribute to ask why, what, and how. So I mean, don't be shy. I know it's very common. People are shy, but if anyone has any question, just speak up.
Yes, obviously. Anybody have any questions? Kindly do ask, guys. Or you can put in chat box too.
Okay, let me ask these questions. Um,
Yeah.
People are not speaking. There can be either two reasons. One, this is too simple stuff for them. They already know all of this. Or two, this is too hard and everything went over their head. So for me to like understand, right? So I mean, if it is too hard, if everything went over your head, I could, let's say, it's a feedback for me. So my future sessions are, let's say, I can make them harder or simpler according to what the feedback was today. So tell me, guys, how was it? Do you know all this stuff? Have you tried AWS before?
Can anybody? Yeah, anybody would like to answer for this? At most, like all our students are like from sixth semester, they had a basic knowledge of cloud, and but the demo, it was they're seeing for the first time. I
Okay.
think, yeah.
Okay, makes sense. I mean, okay, it's good. I mean, if you guys like are interested, this industry, cloud computing, especially, it's a very hot industry right now. A lot of jobs in this area. I mean, if this is something that interests you, you should really go in and try to explore more. I think, and this industry is only gonna grow. A lot of people, their first job out of college is, I mean, maybe software engineers. But there's this another industry that's basically developing right now, which we call is infrastructure engineers, which basically manage all these cloud computing systems. They write software that works with these cloud computing systems. So if you're interested, just read more about it. Uh, this QR code is my LinkedIn. Connect with me there. Reach out to me if you need any help, questions, guidance. Happy to do all of that.
Yes, Rahul. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Rahul. Okay, okay. If no questions, like let's find out.
Okay, all right, guys. I guess it's about 7. That is 4